Every holiday, I was the family joke, until one day, I built a life so big, they had no choice but to take me seriously. Every holiday, like clockwork, I braced myself for the comments. The digs always came wrapped in fake laughter or clinking glasses. "You're always the embarrassment," my dad, Robert, would chuckle, nudging my brother as if I were a running joke only they got. My mom, Susan, would just say, "At least try not to say anything weird this year." I'd nod, smile tightly, and go help set the table or grab chairs from the garage like a good background character in my own life. I'm Ethan, 32, and for most of my adult life, I played the role they assigned me, the quiet, odd one. The one who didn't climb the corporate ladder like my brother Michael or gush about baby milestones like my sister Emily. The one who wasted his 20s hopping from freelance gig to startup job to side hustle no one understood. Except that hustle paid off. I never made a big deal about what I did. When I built apps for small businesses, my family called it a hobby. When I started consulting for tech companies, they rolled their eyes and asked when I'd get a real job. Even when I launched a SaaS product that took off during the pandemic, they laughed when I said I had to hire someone. Hire? You mean, like, a friend to help with your website? Michael snorted over Thanksgiving dinner while Dad carved the turkey like he was auditioning for a cooking show. So, I stopped talking about work. It wasn't worth the effort. No matter what I did, I was the punchline, the disappointment, the embarrassment. The final straw wasn't dramatic. It was Emily's 35th birthday last year. Mom rented out a vineyard for the family, catered hors d'oeuvres, a live acoustic guitarist, and a slideshow of Emily's best moments, baby photos, high school graduation, her first tax return. During the speeches, Michael raised his glass. "Here's to Emily, proof that being responsible pays off." Everyone laughed. My Aunt Linda clapped. Then Mom chimed in, "And here's to Ethan for keeping us guessing." Another round of laughter. My wine glass shook in my hand. That night, I stayed late to help clean up, not because they deserved it, but because the catering staff looked exhausted. As I carried folding chairs to the van, Michael passed me with a smirk. "Always the help, huh?" he said, loud enough for me to hear, soft enough for deniability. I didn't say anything. I finished up and drove home in silence. But that silence wasn't defeat, it was planning. I'd been saving quietly for years. Tech income can be volatile, but I'd made smart moves, invested, scaled back when needed, automated what I could. That spring, I closed on a modern 3-bedroom home in a gated hillside neighborhood, floor-to-ceiling windows, smart everything, a backyard that made realtors gasp. My dream house, and no one in my family knew. Not because I hid it, but because no one ever asked about my life. I signed the papers, unpacked my boxes, and did something new. I celebrated myself. I planned a housewarming party like a red carpet event. Personalized invites went to my closest friends, old clients who'd become dear, and colleagues who'd supported me through rough patches. No family, not a single one. I told them I was busy that weekend when someone suggested brunch. I made the event private on Facebook, but not invisible. That was intentional. The night of the party was perfect. String lights glowed over the patio, catered food smelled incredible, and laughter echoed through a house filled with people who saw me, not as a side note, but as someone worth celebrating. We had music, speeches, even impromptu karaoke by the fire pit. I took pictures with everyone, posed by the champagne tower, and, at my old business mentor's insistence, gave a short thank you speech. My friend Sarah posted a photo of me on the balcony, arms raised, city lights behind me, with the caption, "From outcast to empire builder. So proud of you, Ethan." That post started the chaos. I woke up to a dozen missed calls, 7 from Mom, 3 from Michael, 1 from Emily, 1 from Aunt Linda. My Facebook notifications exploded. My barely used profile was tagged in photos, stories, a video of me cutting a ribbon across the front door with giant novelty scissors. I didn't post any of it, but I didn't hide it either. The comments were glorious. "Ethan, this house is stunning. When did this happen? You deserve this. OMG, I'm crying. So proud of you." Then, buried in the mix, "Why weren't we invited?" from my cousin Rachel. "Your family should have been there. This is so hurtful," from Emily. A passive-aggressive, "I guess some people forget who raised them," from Mom. Even Michael commented, "Guess that fake job worked out, huh? Could have told us." I didn't respond, not to comments, voicemails, or Mom's long text accusing me of embarrassing the family by making them look like strangers. That word, embarrassed. I stared at it. Then deleted the message. 2 days later, Michael showed up at my gate, buzzing like we were friends. I stood at the kitchen island, coffee in hand, watching his annoyed face on the video intercom, button-down shirt, watch worth more than my first car, the same expression he wore when about to give advice. He buzzed again. "Ethan, seriously, I'm not here to fight. Open the gate. I waited. After the third buzz, he texted, open the gate. I'm not leaving until we talk. I let him wait another minute, then pressed the gate release. He drove up slowly, scanning the house like he couldn't process it. He parked on the spotless pavers and got out without a word. As he approached, I opened the door before he could knock. So, he said, arms folded. This is real. I leaned against the doorframe. Yeah. Why didn't you tell us? I let out a quiet laugh. When's the last time you asked me anything about my life, Mike? He rolled his eyes. Come on, we're family. You called my business a hobby. Said I was always the help. Every holiday, you made it your mission to make me the family joke. He raised a hand. That's not fair. It is fair, I said, sharper now. You all did it. You thought it was harmless teasing, but it wasn't. It chipped away, year after year, until I stopped talking. He looked uncomfortable, glancing into the house. This place is amazing, he muttered. Must have cost a fortune. I didn't answer. He was fishing, trying to measure how far I'd gotten without him. I didn't come to fight, he said. But Mom's really upset. So is Emily. You embarrassed them. I almost laughed. Embarrassed them? They've called me the embarrassment for a decade. But the moment I celebrate without them, I'm the one who crossed the line. He shifted, silent. She cried, you know. Mom. When she saw the photos. She cried when I dropped out of grad school, too, I said. Said I'd never make anything of myself. Maybe she just doesn't like surprises. He looked at his shoes, then at me. Look, I'm not saying we were perfect. You were cruel, Mike. All of you. And you didn't even notice. Silence. Then he cleared his throat. So what now? You cut us off? Pretend we don't exist. I'm not pretending anything, I said calmly. I'm choosing who gets to be part of my life. His jaw tightened. So you're just going to keep punishing everyone? This isn't punishment, I said quietly. It's peace. Another beat of silence. He turned to leave, then looked back. You're still bitter, he said. No house in the world changes that. And you're still arrogant, I said. No amount of parties changes that. He drove off without another word. That afternoon, Rachel sent a screenshot of a group chat I wasn't in. Mom wrote, I don't understand why he's doing this. We raised him, didn't we? Maybe he just likes making us look bad. Emily replied, he's always been a little off. I knew something like this would happen. Michael, let him enjoy his little victory lap. It won't last. I read that line twice. It won't last. They still didn't believe it was real, a fluke, a phase. They couldn't see me as successful because that meant admitting they were wrong about me for years. So, I decided not to retaliate or argue, but to keep going, quietly, deliberately, letting them watch every step. The next morning, I accepted an offer for a guest segment on a tech podcast with a huge following. That week, I signed with an agency to scale my consulting into a full firm. I updated my LinkedIn, posted party photos on my public profile, nothing flashy, just enough to be seen. I didn't need their approval. I wanted them to know they weren't the center of my story anymore. 3 days later, I got a letter from Mom, delivered by courier, thick, cream-colored envelope, like a wedding invitation. I almost didn't open it, tempted to let it collect dust. But curiosity won. Inside were 5 handwritten pages on lined paper, her neat, looped handwriting unchanged since I was a kid. No greeting, just, I don't even know where to begin. I leaned back, phone on silent, coffee forgotten. She wrote how hurt she was, how shocked to learn I'd moved into such a nice home without telling them. She'd seen the Facebook photos, strangers congratulating me like they raised me. It felt like being erased, she said. By page 2, it turned, you always had a flair for drama, Ethan. Even as a kid, you'd hide in your room if someone teased you. Families poke fun sometimes. That's how we keep each other grounded. My chest tightened. This wasn't an apology, it was a rewrite, rebranding years of put-downs as loving sarcasm, cruelty as tough love. Every line said, this is your fault for being sensitive. Page 3 listed misunderstandings. Michael didn't mean I'd never succeed. Emily admired my independence. Dad was just old-fashioned and didn't get modern careers. She underlined old-fashioned. By page 4, requests, let's put this behind us. Why not host another get-together, a family thing this time? Everyone's willing to try if you are. Then the real reason, Rachel mentioned your company growing. That's wonderful. Maybe we could sit down and talk about how to support each other financially or otherwise. You're good with money, and we've been struggling with a few things you could help navigate. I stopped reading. The rest sat heavy in my lap. I knew what it'd say, we miss you. You're still family. Please respond. I walked to the window, looking at the patio lantern still hanging from the party. The memory of laughter, of people cheering me, not tolerating me, remained. This wasn't reconciliation or love, it was control. For the first time, they didn't decide how I showed up. I wasn't Ethan the helper, the weird one, the embarrassment. I was Ethan, who made it without them, and they hated it. I read the final page. We'd like to come by and see the house. Maybe bring wine, take photos, show everyone how proud we are. It would mean a lot to your father. Not to me. Not, let's talk. Just take photos, show people, prove we're proud now that it's convenient. My jaw clenched. That night, I scanned the letter, saved a copy, then lit a fire in the pit out back, poured a drink, and watched the pages burn. 2 days later, Emily tagged me in a post, a family dinner, all smiles, captioned, "Some people forget where they came from, but we still know what real love looks like." Aunt Linda commented, "Family first always." Michael, "No room for egos here. Just real connection." Mom, "Amen to that." Buried in the pile, a high school friend commented, "Wait, didn't Ethan just have a party last week? Didn't see any of you there." It disappeared within minutes. I didn't reply or repost. I just watched. A month earlier, a local magazine wanted to profile me, my tech company, my work with small businesses. I'd turned it down, not wanting attention. Now, I called the editor back. We scheduled an interview. I spoke plainly, years of freelancing, long nights building something from nothing, being underestimated by people who thought success looked one way. I left out the family drama, but it was there in my tone, my silences. The piece ran, "From failure to founder, how one local underdog quietly built a 7-figure company." It featured a photo of me on my balcony, city lights behind me, captioned, "Ethan Grant, 32, says he never fit in and finally stopped trying." I posted it on LinkedIn, tagged the magazine, and let it spread. Clients reached out. Recruiters emailed. Old classmates messaged, "Congratulations." A college professor commented, "Knew you had it in you, Ethan. Your capstone project was years ahead of its time." 3 days later, Dad messaged, "Saw the article. Nice place. Would have been good if you included us. Let me know when we can see the house." I didn't respond. Mom called twice, then a third time. I let it ring. Emily texted, "Can we talk? Just us." I met her at a coffee shop near my old neighborhood, neutral territory. She was stirring a latte in slow circles, waiting for courage. "Hey," she said. I sat across from her. "Hey." We didn't speak for a moment. Then she exhaled, "I know we've been awful. I won't pretend otherwise. We didn't take you seriously, and that wasn't fair." I nodded, letting her continue. "I think a lot of it was jealousy, maybe fear. You didn't follow the script, no grad school, no marriage, no life people post about. When it worked for you anyway, it scared people." That surprised me, her honesty. "But shutting us out, the party, photos, interviews, you made us look like strangers." "That's because you are," I said. "You became strangers years ago. I just didn't have the words or confidence to say it. Every laugh, every time you left me out or made me the family mascot, you drove a wedge deeper." Her jaw clenched, eyes watering. "So, is that it? We're cut off?" "No," I said. "But the terms are different. I'm not begging for inclusion. I'm not handing out emotional discounts to people who think my worth is up for debate." She nodded slowly. "So, what are the terms?" I sipped my coffee. "You don't speak for me. You don't show up uninvited. If you want to be part of my life, it's as equals, no jokes at my expense, no snide comments, no favors disguised as reconnection." "Okay," she whispered. "I hear you." We talked for 20 minutes, not warm, but real. She didn't ask for money or to see the house. She asked, "Can I try to do better?" I said, "Yes, but we'll see." 2 weeks later, Dad tried to organize a family dinner. I declined politely, firmly, saying I was busy with work, true, as I was prepping slides for a tech conference in Vancouver. The next day, Michael left a voicemail I saved. "You think you're better than us now? Just because you got lucky, you're still the same awkward loser you always were. Money doesn't buy respect, Ethan. It just buys walls." He was right about one thing, I was still quiet, introspective, a little awkward. But I wasn't weak. I didn't need their validation like oxygen. That weekend, I hosted a private dinner for close friends, mentors, and Emily. She showed up with a bottle of wine and a nervous smile. I gave her a tour, watching her eyes widen at every room. "You really did this," she kept saying. "You really made it." I smiled without bitterness. "Yeah, I did." She was quieter, more thoughtful. In my home office, she lingered by the whiteboard of notes, plaques, and framed articles. "I think this is the first time I've seen you as the main character," she said, clearing plates later. I laughed softly. That's because it's the first time I stopped asking for permission. She hugged me, not stiff or performative, but warm, real. I felt lighter. I ignored 3 emails from Mom, 1 from Dad. Then a podcast producer invited me for an episode, The Power of Being Underestimated. I accepted. Near the end, I said, sometimes the best revenge isn't proving people wrong. It's building a life so right that their opinions become irrelevant, not because you erased them, but because you outgrew them. I didn't name them. I didn't have to. They heard it. For the first time, I wasn't the embarrassment. I was the main character in my own story. Thank you for staying with this story. If it resonated, stirred something, or made you think, do me a favor, like this video to reach more people, share it with someone who needs it, and drop a comment with your thoughts, experiences, or what you'd do in my shoes. Subscribe so you don't miss the next story. Your support keeps these stories alive.